Rod again, Broken Nickel Garage. I'm still on my adventure of my KLR 650 and Motocamping. I've been camping for decades and doing it on a motorcycle like my KLR is all new to me. I just bought that bike last August. I was wanting to add one to the stable for quite a while. So I'm here to help educate, um, show you things that work, things that I find useful. So today we're going to go over some of my gear and my loadout kits for camping. And of course, something to keep in mind is weight. We all want to try to reduce as much as we can. Uh, but my kit setup, it varies every time I go out. I don't have just one kit for everything. As I look at each of the adventure as a mission. What's the objective? Am I going out? Am I riding to go camping? Am I camping so I can go ride? Am I trying to go fishing? Am I getting up into the mountain to go play on some beaver pond and fish some streams? Am I taking out camera gear just to do some nature photography? Am I going to be one day? Am I going to be 2 days, 3 days? So each objective will end up having a different loadout. But so I kind of gather a lot of stuff that I use all the time, and a lot of this will be what I can pack on my bike. And I'm not going to tell you what's essential to you. I know what's essential to me. So as I go through some of my gear, I'll try to call it out if it's what I feel is an essential item to have with you. Um, so like I said, a lot of times I'm looking for fishing holes. I love to fish. One of my has always been one of my favorite pastimes since I was a little kid. I remember in junior high we used to cut school so we could go hit the streams. Um, so recently I just added a new fishing pole from I bought at Shields here in Great Falls. It's a three-piece, 6'6", ultralight fast action rod. If you're kind of new to fishing, and if you're just fishing streams, rivers, whatnot, look for a light action pole. It is so much more fun, more sensitive. It makes a small fish feel like a big fish. And boy, when you get a 6, 7 pound trout online with a light action rod, it's a good time. What I liked with this rod, the case, it is pretty solid. So I know odds are if I strap it down well and I take a tumble, my fishing pole is going to be okay. That's important. My typical carry along fishing bag is this little single strap bag. I bought this at a place called the Fisherman's Mercantile, Rock Creek, Montana. Boy, that's a great little store, knowledgeable staff, helpful, and one hell of a fishery. I remember fishing it as a kid, it was insane. And then it blew up and it got pretty ugly for a while, too many people coming in, but it's coming back. It's a good fishery, and if you can be up there late spring, May, June, catch that salmon fly hatch, you'll have no regrets. Amazing. Um, Great little bag, carries all my essentials, and then room. I can pack a lunch in here. It's great, good quality. Um, I do use a polarized fishing glasses, hence this funny case. Essential? Yeah, it depends for who and what you're doing. So for me, it's not essential. Again, it depends on the mission. Um, Definitely an essential first aid kit. Well, I would call this more of a boo-boo kit than a first aid kit, but I need to add some more stuff to it yet. But it's got my essentials, extra Band-Aid, gauze, ointments, antiseptic. I live here in Montana, and believe it or not, we have rattlesnakes in a lot of areas I go. Pray I never use it, never had to, but rattlesnake bite kit to help slow the venom. Um, I carry some Pepto. There's nothing worse than if you're out on a trail, a couple 100 miles from home, 100 miles from civilization, and you got the runs. Yeah, it's not a fun day. I carry some extra aspirin and ibuprofen. The things I need to add to my kit, I really should act. I need to get a tourniquet. Tourniquet, I think, is it's a lifesaver if you ever need one. And pray you never do. If you do get one, you might buy two and practice with one. Get familiar with it. I need to order some of that emergency blood clotting bandage wraps because things happen and it happens fast. So first aid kit, essential. Another thing that is a great safety piece is a couple of glow sticks. Uh, Essential, maybe, maybe not. My thinking with glow sticks, let's say you put your bike down and you're waiting on help and you're injured and it's getting dark. At least you can hang a couple of these in a tree, and search and rescue can probably find you a lot easier if they can see a glow stick hanging. You can see it from quite a long ways away. So a good piece to have. And I'm sure like you, I've watched probably every Dork in the Road and Swanky Cat and all these other guys talking about stuff. I've never heard anybody talk about what how these can save a person's life. Another thing, and I think it's in my day pack a whistle, like the metal coach whistle. If you're pinned under a bike, you got a broken leg and can't move, and you're hollering for help, your voice doesn't carry for shit in the mountains. But you pack a whistle, people can hear a whistle from a long ways away, and you can get one for like what, $3. Highly recommend a whistle. Let's see, binoculars. I like watching wildlife just like the next guy. I'm always kind of scoping out the next hunting zone or whatever. Essential? Definitely not. Again, depends on my mission, what I'm going out to do. But binoculars are kind of nice to have when you're out. I find I use binoculars more than I thought I would. GPS. I run the Zumo XT2 or whatever it's called. It's great. It's got limitations like anything. Nobody I think makes just a perfect system. But I do run a GPS. One, if I crash, I don't want to bust up my phone. That's my communication, potential lifeline, blah, 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 right? So I keep my phone tucked away, usually in a chest pocket or somewhere on my person. Most places I ride, we don't have cell phone reception. Montana is a huge state, and our cell phone coverage is not what it is in a lot of other states. So GPS for me is almost on the 0 to 10 for essentials. It's with me probably 80% of the time, just depending where I'm going. This thing's kind of cool. My wife bought this for me last year for my birthday, or maybe it was last Father's Day. I haven't used it yet. It's a pack safe. So let's say you're parked at a store, hotel, and you got all your expensive luggage on the back of your bike. This is a cable netting that wraps around your luggage and you padlock it. Totally theft proof? No, but thieves are lazy. If they have to work for it, they probably won't steal it. And this one, I think, is on the bag it says 120, and I believe it was one of their larger kits. It's probably going to be a little too big for my setup, but I'll pull it out one of these days and try to show it off. Another thing that I keep on my kit, I carry a shovel. This is a SOG brand, SOG. They make some pretty good gear. It folds. It gives you two tools. You've got a pick or a shovel. There's probably some lighter other models out there. I don't know, pound and a half, maybe two at the most. Well, if you gotta do your business in the woods and you need to, you should bury it, especially if you're near a campsite or ground. You don't want people stepping in that. So obviously works good for that. I like shovels for making sure I got campfires put out. And there's been times when I've had to dig a deeper hole due to high winds or whatnot, get my campfire going. Great, great piece of gear. And shovels kind of got pushed onto me going off road here in Montana. Yeah, it's one of your items you're required by the state to have as a shovel. Fire control mainly for that, but so again, essential. Now, the should it goes with me if I'm doing a camp trip or an overnight trip. This is kind of my essential ditty bag. If I'm camping, this bag is with me. For me, this is an essential bag. Um, has a hook so I can hook it, hang on the handlebars or wherever. Things I carry in here. I carry a compass. Compass always works. $500, $600 GPS unit may not work. It's electronics can fail. At least if I have a compass and I have a relatively good idea of where I'm at, I'm going to get home. There's a few things I'm big on redundancy, and fire starting is one of them. So, Bic lighters, cheap, pretty goof proof. Um, Toilet paper in a Ziploc bag, another another lighter. I carry toilet paper because sometimes you need it, and it also I've not many times I've used it as kindling to help start a campfire. Another uh, sharpening stone, just a cheapo. Because a dull knife is a dangerous knife. Um, Good, handy to have. Like I said, it fits in my kit. Another fire starter, kind of like the Boy Scouts have been using for 50 plus years. It's magnesium with a ferro rod. So if you're trying to start a fire, get your piece of bark or whatever you're starting it on, scrape off a bunch of magnesium. Magnesium burns hot. Get a get a pile of magnesium, get your kindling and fire starting material ready. Either use the Bic or start throwing some sparks. You'll get a campfire going. Redundancy. Um, an extra USB cord. I typically have about 3 or 4 cords with me, just depending on the equipment I have going. A couple spare AAA batteries for my headlamp. Extra 44 Magnum rounds. I do live in bear country. Grizzly bear, the bear population is on the rise. Toothbrush, toothpaste. A camp knife that I've had for quite a while, called Light My Fire. Nothing too crazy, but you can do a lot with it. And this one, Light My Fire brand, has another ferro rod. Bright orange, so when you're working on camp, it gets dark. You're going to see that laying in the dirt. I like the orange for that reason. It's loud. So many knives are dark, brown, black. I've known a lot of people that have left a nice knife laying in the dirt at camp and didn't see it. Good, good choice. I carry some hand sanitizer. Of course, it's good to help wash up whatnot. but it's flammable. Crazy flammable? No, but it can help start a fire. This is one of my new pieces of kit. It's a flex tail mini pump. Airing up air mattresses. Oh, it's awesome. It comes with several different adapters for different type of air valves. Uh, doesn't weigh much. Blows pretty decent air, and it's a great hack for when you get your campfire going. You feed it some high pressure air, your campfire's rocking and rolling in no time. And then what I like, it's magnetic. I don't care about that, but you need to stick it to a fender or your engine hood, and then turn the LED lights on. It's got three settings: a low, medium, and high. The battery life seems to be awesome. I I've aired up, I think, three air mattresses. Uh, Used it quite a bit, getting a couple campfires rocking and rolling. Uh, Had the LED light running for several hours, and it's still going. We'll definitely recharge it before my next outing. I picked this up at Shield Sporting Goods here in Great Falls, Montana for I think $50. And what I am telling myself, I should have bought one of these years ago. Great piece, flex tail air pump. That is definitely one in my essential bag here. Carabiner. Sometimes it's just handy to have a carabiner with you. Run a piece of rope, hanging something, but I got it to clip into my tent and hang my lamp. For me, another must-have is my MSR water purifiers. This particular one is, I think it's 30 years old, and maybe 25 at least. Uh, Great kit. Like I countless gallons through it. Uh, Mesh bag, so it helps it dry. Pretty decent amount of hose, just surgical tubing. You can pick up at Ace Hardware if you need more. But what I like, the base threads onto a Nalgene bottle. So it becomes one unit. You're not trying to hold a hose and blah, blah, blah. I think there's some probably fancier models out now that might pump a little faster, more gallons per minute, blah, blah. But why replace it if it's working? I'm not made of money, so when I buy something, I try to find something that I'm gonna have for a long time. Redundancy, water tablets. So if I don't want to be packing a whole bunch of gear, these are stupid cheap. I don't know, $4, $5, $6 for a little bottle. You can treat quite a bit of water with these little tabs. Of course, it's always good to boil the water. Don't take that risk. I got a life straw that really should be in my day pack. Great piece of kit, emergency kit. All right, let's move on. Let's move towards cooking, food, kitchen stuff. So I usually pack 2 Nalgene bottles. Um, Again, depending on where I'm going, what I know for available water. But 2 is my minimum. Weighs quite a bit, so I don't like packing more than I should have to. This is a pretty new kit I just picked up. Got it on Amazon, made by GSI. They call it the Santoku. I don't know if I say that even close to correct. Little knife kitchen kit. Oh, comes with 3 nice knives. I will probably downsize this to 1 knife. My selling point was I like the case size. It's thin, fits in my bags nice. Got a folding cutting board. I've spent years without a cutting board, and sometimes it's challenging. Um, Comes with a pretty nice scrubby washcloth, and then I carry about 4 or 5 feet of tin foil because sometimes it's nice to wrap up a fresh fish and put some lemon and pepper on it and throw it in the coals, or potato or veggies. You can bake a lot of things with tin foil. And I keep about 4 or 5 feet of paper towels. And back into the kitchen. This is my MSR cook set. Um, Again, I've had this about at least 25 years. I can't tell you how many meals I have made out of this. So the lid can be a dish, can be a fry pan. The inside is all my cooking camp essentials. I carry a highly absorbent camp towel. I've had this one for a lot of years as well. But it's kind of like them old chamois cloths. Wring them out and they're dry. Great piece. I use the old MSR pocket rocket. And I forget the weight. I want to say it's 3 ounces. This thing has never let me down. Threads on to just a butane can. Light it with your match, lighter, go to cooking. Impressed. Again, this was one of my first nice pieces of kit I bought when I was young. So it's probably 30 years old. Another fire lighter. This little butane one, I pick them up at a ag store here in town. Works really well. They're like $4. Why not? And with that kind of flame, you're going to get a fire going pretty quick. A couple fork sporks. The short ones I like because they fit in my pot. I keep them all together. The handles, you can grab your pot and you got a handle that don't get hot. Just don't leave it on. That's a 2-liter pot. You can make all kinds of stuff in a pot, of course. I can't count how many bags of ramen I've made through this thing. But that's my camp kitchen. Now let's move on. Food storage. There's all kinds of options. Oh, it's kind of big, but it's coconut grease. So if I'm using the lid, I'll put a little grease in there. I need to find a new small container to put some in because it's big and bulky, really. I like pepper, fresh pepper. I grind it. Salt and pepper just helps anything just about. But food storage. So sometimes I'll take a little dry bag, kind of like so. I'll keep my food in. Very lightweight. This one, it's a Sea to Summit bag. Great way to keep your food organized. But quite often I'm in bear country, as I said. So I do have your Ursack. URSACK. These things are dynamite, man. They're awesome. You can get quite a bit in there. Then you rope it up, tie it up, hang it in a tree. Keep the food away from you. You don't never have food in your tent. You know, most of the time when people get in trouble with a bear, or when they're sleeping or in their tent, they did something wrong. They smell like fish, or they have food in their tent. Be smart if you're out in bear country. Keep your food away. It's better to be alive than to be bear food. Sometimes I'll put my mac and cheese, Ziploc baggies, throw them in my bag. I usually keep an MRE, kind of an emergency stash for food. Those are definitely essentials on my overnight trips. More onto the tool side. I like this tool. Just bought. It's kind of big, but my Borrelia 21 folding camp saw, and you just open her up, bring the handle down, and you're ready to make some serious firewood for that campfire. Great tool. Comes with an extra blade in the bag. They sell smaller ones. Uh, when I ordered this one, I was not anticipating this for motocamping. But another really great saw, especially for size, are the Silky brands. They fold. I don't have one. I actually gave both my boys Silky saws for Christmas. And they're probably about yay long. But a saw is a great way for making firewood. My hatchet, I don't always take a hatchet, just depends again. This one's a POS that I call bare bones. Um, gosh, cheap crap. I was on, gosh, can't remember the name of the company. It was one of them companies that for $49 a month, we'll send you a care package of this outdoor goods. And I think I did it for 8 or 9 months. I ended up with a bunch of junky Christmas gifts for people. Not one damn thing worth having. This axe was the best, and like I said, it's pretty shitty. Speaking of axes, don't buy them kitty ones that don't weigh nothing and are 8 inches long. Waste of time. You're going to end up probably hurting yourself with it. I would not go less than probably a 1 1/4 pound, but probably closer to a 2 pound hatchet with about a 16-inch handle. Nice thing about a wood handle, if you really wanted to, you could always cut some off and make it the length you need it to be. But them little hatchets, they're too much work for chopping their junk. So my saw is an essential when I'm camping. An axe, not necessarily. I've got this knife. No, another knife. This I actually do. I consider this one of my camping essentials. It's made by CFK Poultry Company. They're out of Oregon. They're all handcrafted, good steel, full tang. This particular one is petrified ostrich bone for the handle. Well, a lot of times I'll use this to baton my wood after I take it out a chunk of wood and start smacking. Just FYI, if you baton, make sure you got some kind of glasses on. Sometimes splinters come up and blah, blah, blah. Last thing a guy needs is an eye injury when you're miles from anywhere. But check these guys out. They have a lot of nice knives and good quality. Not the cheapest around, but it's handcrafted. Essential. Pair of leather gloves. Essential. Uh, just dealing with knives and firewood, it sucks to get sap all over your hands.